you break that stereotype because everything about you, the tattoos, your past, the chains, everything about you screams, this is a scary guy.
Exactly.
And then you open your mouth and I fall in love with you.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. You know why, Josh? Because in our community, you have to be hardcore or you got no core. People deem you as being a good person, like in the city. Everybody must respect you because why? You must earn that respect, and by being what? By being a badass. You must be better than the baddest of them all. And I went out to be one of the baddest. And where I ended up was in prison. You know what I mean? And
That's something I really want to talk about because everyone has this picture in their head of going to prison. What was it like for you when you got into prison for the first time on the first day and things were no longer in your hands? You had no control. You were now a prisoner at Polesmore.
I was so scared. Just my whole body shivered every day for about a week of adaptation.
You're in shock.
Total horrendous shock. Because now a guy comes to you and he says, look at you, I want to you. You know, hey, what is this guy talking about? You're going to hurt me, what? But he wanted to have you as a, a sexual partner. How can you just...
If you don't mind me asking, were you sexually assaulted in prison?
You know what, Josh? I thank God always for giving me this. And, he prepared me actually without me knowing that time. Because I had a stepfather who, everything you've done wrong, he gives you hiding. I went to reformatory where you got like every day into a fight, hiding. So I became adapting to getting hurt, to getting into fights. When I went to prison, I had to fight. I had to do everything so that I can't be sexually abused. But I didn't escape it because, you walk past a guy that is a homosexual, he taps on your buttocks and, all things you say, that's the way you say, hey, Blondie. I fought that name because I had this light blondish hair and I've got green eyes and they always used to call me, hey, Blondie. And that was certainly, I fought with my whole life because in the night they wake you up. There's 4 guys, each one with a knife. If you don't give us now ass, we're going to stab you. And a lot of people, that is now pure and plain and simple, doing things under pressure. And we weren't prepared for prison. I wasn't prepared for prison.
I don't think it's something anyone can prepare for.
Exactly. And so, if I must look at it back, I was one of those who were lucky, but still, they never stopped harassing me, until the day I stood up and I stabbed the warder.
Stab the warder?
I stabbed the warder, yeah. Because they said, if I want to be one of them, this was a way of they making me scared, then you have to stab the warder. So I took it upon myself and said, if I can escape all these things by stabbing a warder, what the heck, man? There's a small price to pay.
Were you involved with a gang before you went to prison?
Yeah. I was of the old school gangsters, Cape Town Scorpions.
Is that what they were called, the Scorpions?
Yeah, Cape Town Scorpions, emphasized on the Cape Town Scorpions, you know what I mean? Yeah, we originated from Cape Town, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was a Scorpion. I was, at the age of 12, I went to...
At the age of 12?
Of 12, yeah. I committed my first murder with a knife. I stabbed the guy to death, but he was also junior like me. We had a fight. But where I walked away, because I've been learned by my grandma and my grandpa, if you see a fight coming on, walk rather away. It's better to prevent a thing than to cure a thing. But I didn't understand that. That wasn't because I thought if you hit me, I must hit you back. And it's one sickness that I have actually been cured in prison, and that is aggressiveness. I had to be aggressive because if I wasn't aggressive, then they would have rolled over me and I would have been to whatever the case might be. But I thank the Lord above for giving me that insight, not to let, and I'm talking about a small percentage guys who comes out, who can really say that they went in one person, they came out another person, but he survived a lot of other things, like sexual abuse, but all the other abuses I was sexually abused, verbally abused, physically abused. Everything comes with anything, but we had to endure. You learn how to endure. Imagine you learn how to accept pain, and overcome it. Because if they hit you, they can't hit you a whole day, 24 hours, because you being looked after. There's always guys coming around, seeing everything is okay. So there is a rest time. So what I've done, because I've learned it aside with the gangsters, they said if you go to prison, you must be really cruel to be kind. And I became very cruel just because I had no alternative. That was my way of surviving.
You have to be tough.
You had to be.
You can't
not
show any
only just
weakness.
Tough. Tough comes out of. I believe that you had to be conscienceless. You had to lose your conscience of feeling sorry for somebody. You had to laugh when somebody gets hurt. You know what I mean? And what I've gone through is when they hit me and when they tortured me for trying to sodomize me, they let me stand under a shower that drips on your head, and anytime anyone comes past, they give you a smack like that, and you couldn't do nothing.
I want to know, and I want to get more into like the daily life of prison, because this is something that us as humans can't comprehend. Like we go through our days, and we take each day as they come, but we don't think of. You were in prison for 18 years, right?
That's my last test in prison. 18 years and 6 months I was.
18 years and 6
because
months.
I had 21 years here. From the 21 years, I've done 18 years and 3 months in prison. The others I've done outside, the new system. Let me tell you something, Josh. I never knew that a place could have turned you circularly around. Like my grandma who passed away told me, from an angel to a devil turner. And I didn't know what she was meaning, because when last she saw me, I had a clean face. And when
So you got all the tattoos in prison?
In prison, yeah.
The one thing I want to know, though, is because obviously 18 years is such a long time. I mean, I'm 25 years old. That's almost my whole life.
Exactly.
The thing that I think a lot of people can't comprehend is when you're in prison and every day you have to fight for your life, basically. I mean, how do you cope with that for 18 years?
Yeah, Josh, it's not for 18 years. You don't cope for 18 years with it. I think the best part of it is 5 years. If you're in prison and you get used to the routine of prison life,
you just get used to it.
You get used to it. And afterwards, only afterwards, Josh, when you get the nick and the trick of prison, then you find out, but these are the same guys that I was fighting outside. These guys, I ran over outside, man. I was stronger than them outside. Why couldn't I have been stronger than me in here? Because of
the numbers.
The numbers.
And that's another thing I want to know is about the numbers gangs. Like, whenever you refer to number, you're talking about the numbers gangs, right?
Yes.
So, you said you were a part of the 28s.
Yes.
Which is the highest ranked.
Yeah. You can, yeah. There's the forerunners of prison gangsterism, you know what I mean? Yeah.
They're the top.
Yeah, they're the top guys, yeah.
And how do you become, I know you said you had to stab a warden. Was that your initiation into the 28s?
My initiation, because they wanted to sodomize me, and I didn't want to be sodomized, because my stepdad said, never ever can you let that happen. If you let that happen, I'm not going to call you a son anymore. And for me, it was important to be his son, because my real father actually wasn't there for me. So I had this inside of me. I want to show my dad.
You'll do anything.
I'll do anything.
For approval.
For approval of him, to accept me as his son. And he said, no bloody son of me is going to be a but in Afrikaans, it's English swearing is, it sounds so easier on the tongue, but Afrikaans swearing is very, it's very difficult. And he used to warn me, you make one mistake, I'm not going to accept you.
As my son anymore.
You let yourself be abused, and I know you won't be able to look after your mom or me or your children or whatever future lies ahead. So you'll have to, If somebody hits you, smacks you, you smack him back. Somebody spits you spit him back. Now in prison, we use all these raw tactics. In prison, I've seen guys losing who they are.
I want to know. So, obviously, in the outside world, um, in prison, because you talk a lot about like sodomy and like sexual assault. Why do they do that in prison? Is it a power thing?
You know what? I also wanted to know, but why do you guys want to do this? What? I slept next to, when I was still fresh in prison, then we used to sleep in rooms about, what is for 15 people, we had to be 35 people in a room, so we were this tight. We never had beds at that time, so we were on the ground. We slept like
So like
sardines.
35 people all sleeping on the ground.
Yeah, we sleep on the ground. You get 2 mats and 3 blankets. So we used to make beds up with each other. We do one bed, like we throw all the blankets. You only had maybe 1 blanket to cover yourself. But then again, you must lay next to somebody that is being sodomized. And the way they're going on here, and the way you getting, every night, this things happen here next to you. And you get shocked because the way these people are going on next to you, you get an erection, and that's the thing that I couldn't first understand. Hey, I thought, hey, what? Am I mad or what? Because this is not me. I don't want this to happen to me. But then again, it's so devastating onto your personality. You know what I mean? And I tried to shut it out of my brain, but I'm hearing it through my ears. I couldn't keep my ears closed. And these things are going on a daily basis. And only if we are locked up, because they put the masters on. In Afrikaans, they call it the ewige rots. Now imagine you are locked up. These warders only can see through the windows. They can shout at the guy, hey, stop. But he's in there, they say, fuck you, man. He stabs you, until he's satisfied with what he's done. And what I've learned, I've picked up a sickness in prison, and that's aggressiveness. I had to be aggressive because the things that was happening, I've only experienced in prison. I never once in my life as a kid did somebody ask me for, approach me sexually as what it is in prison. Because for me it was just not on, but it was a norm in prison because you didn't see it during the day when the warders were there. But when we are locked up in a room, and that room gets locked up for 18, 19 hours. And 18, 19 hours, you must adapt to the routine of the gangs. And it's not easy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And were you, you said you were there, so for like after 5 years, you kind of get into the routine of
Yes.
things. So does that mean after 5 years or so, like roughly, were you pretty protected and you were in the gang and no one really messed with you anymore?
I had to fight for that position, Josh. I had to fight for that position because it took me, I think, less than 3 years to adapt to the routine of prison, what goes on and what doesn't go on, But it took me actually maybe 5 years to get the skill right, to know when to do what and how to do what. You learn to use your honors as a you come into one room, there comes 60 packets of cannabis. It's this large.
So was there drugs in prison?
Exactly. And you know what? Now we hear that the police they're going to come and search our room. When they search our room, Josh, they come out of, when they search our room, they don't get even a pit of cannabis. Now you tell me, where is this cannabis hidden away? In the guy's asses, man.
In the guy's asses?
Yeah.
How much cannabis can you fit in the ass?
Josh, you can take a whole carry bag of cannabis, then you make it into this small thing.
And you just put it up.
And we put it up in our honors now.
See, this is why I'm wearing this shirt today.
This was very scary, Josh, because for me it was said, do you want to be sodomized? Do you want to be sodomized, or are you willing rather to carry for us our knives and our cannabis in your arse? I don't know how to call this thing that you put up in your arse, but I know I've read a book about it. But it's I want to come on the name, but we call them more like a cool, you know. They strap it with plastic.
They wrap it with plastic.
They wrap it with plastic and they burn it. You can have a heap of cannabis, this big heap, and you can minimize it. Let's be this small, Josh.
You just compress it, compress it, compress it.
Compress it, yeah. And right, you must carry it up in your ass during the day. Now, another thing that you must also learn is you can't let somebody see that you've got something in your ass. So you'll have to take what is on you and hide it away. You mustn't show it on your face. You mustn't show, if you approach the water with something, you've got maybe knives on you, you must approach the water as usual. This you learn to adapt to in prison, and that I was so very good at, because
And did you guys make weapons and stuff in your in your cells?
but of course,
What kind of weapons would you make?
knives, you know.
And how would you make them?
The whole prison is cement, Josh. You know, and you used to have these windows where had these brass things that you close the window and open the window up again.
Brass, like handles.
Brass handles, and we used to break it off. And we put it up in our arse, bring it into prison, right? And the floor is cement. You know, there was always a part in the cell that the cement was still a bit rough, and you use that patch of roughness, then you sharpen we make it sharp, you know, like. You can't hone it as you know, a hone knife is, but we make it sharp, and you couldn't stab also a guy on his clothes because
It wouldn't puncture through.
it wouldn't puncture through. You had to stab him in his face, where his skin was, you know, what open skin. At first, by me, it was a matter of survival. If I didn't do these things, then these guys would sodomize me. So I thought, no, to myself, wait, man. Afterwards, I came to terms with I didn't pray anymore, because I prayed every night, you know what I mean? And praying every night, praying every morning, wherever I had a chance to pray, because I was an older boy. I knew how to pray and what prayers to say when. But just the mere fact that my prayers wasn't heard at, I thought God forsaken me. And I changed. From praying, I changed, because I said, I saw also, if you are, you know, like this guy that is a weirdo, everybody would say out of your way. And that's how I begin to have no conscience by hurting people.
I'm sure you wanted to hurt other people because of how you were hurt growing up and in prison as well.
Just the main trick was this: if you are weirder than the next person, and then you get, you know, that status of they stay out of this guy's way.